Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Soulcast. My name is Josefa, and today we are going to break down hiring nightmares, job market chaos, and everything in between. In this episode, we are going to discuss some of the biggest hiring struggles that businesses face because we all know that hiring right people is harder than ever. To share some insightful thoughts on this, we have Asad Khalid with us from Soul Technologies.
Hey, thank you so much, Josefa, for having me in this podcast. I look forward to have a very productive discussion about the challenges that we face in this industry. I have been with Soul Technologies since past 4 years. It has been a beautiful journey. I started working over here as a recruitment manager, and now I'm working as a general manager. And I have been working in this industry for last 7 years, and it has been quite interesting to be honest. I mean, every day is a new story. But yeah, let's go ahead and discuss further.
Can you please tell me more about Soul Technologies?
Absolutely. So, Soul Technologies has been in this business for more than 2 decades. Soul Technology itself is a parent company, and then there are different companies which were acquired by Soul Technologies over the last 2 decades. We are an award-winning company. We have been winning best places to work in Texas for last 5 years. For this year, our CEO won the best CEO award of Texas. We won the best company culture award for this year, and we also won the best staffing company for this year as well. So we are an award-winning company, and we have different companies which are running under our umbrella. So we have a company called TechBerry, we have a company called Couplin Worldwide, and the differences of niche basically, right? So Soul Technology focuses on IT and engineering jobs, and then we have TechBerry, which focuses on journal staffing. Then we also have a company called Couplin Worldwide, which focuses on healthcare staffing. So it's a big group of companies, and it's on its part to grow further. Uh, we have been upskilling Soul Technologies for last 2 years. For this year, we recently opened our new office in Pakistan, and things look good so far. But obviously, there are challenges in this industry. The reason that there are challenges is that at the end of the day, it is a human business. So the product that we sell in business is human itself. So obviously, I mean, human is human at the end of the day. So there are a lot of variables which come into play in our work, but it's an interesting job.
First of all, I would like to congratulate you on winning these kind of awards. It's a big thing. I think in the Texas, you have been winning a lot of awards.
Absolutely.
So it's a good thing. I just wanted to ask you one thing that you mentioned. TechBerry is doing general staffing.
Yeah.
What does general staffing means?
So basically, journal staffing is, if I tell you in layman's, is basically TechBerry focuses on blue collar jobs, right? Main focus on the niche of TechBerry is towards blue collar jobs. In top of my mind, I can give you examples like we hire forklift operators, we hire assembly technicians, we hire picker and packers. That's the main focus. But on side of that, we also tackle professional jobs as well. That's TechBerry basically. And TechBerry itself is a giant company. It's based out of California. And TechBerry also is an award-winning company. We have been winning, like for last year, I remember that we were Magnet's top preferred vendor for TechBerry as well.
Oh, that's great. You recruit in health sector for Couplin.
Yeah.
Is it right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So which kind of health professionals you are working with?
So we cater all the positions which are in healthcare, and specifically we focus on RN, but at the end of the day, we focus on all the positions, and we hire not only from US, we hire all across the globe for Kaplan worldwide.
Okay, so you are hiring all over the globe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good thing. The first challenge I came up with is the talent shortage. What do you think about this?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. I don't think there's a talent shortage, but I would say the problem that we face is the expectation between an employer and employee, right? So basically, we work as an agency, right? We work as a third party. We work as a bridge between different hiring managers and different candidates which are potential fit for this role, right? Now, I think the major issue is between the expectation that a employer has from its employee, and then expectation that an employee has from his employer, right? And I believe that's the reason that we think that there is a shortage of talents, right? Like I'll give you an example. After COVID, uh, while in COVID, almost every company went to remote working world, right? And after COVID, since it's been a while since COVID, right? But now, what employers are expecting is that the employees to come in the office, and what employees are expecting is that if they're performing and doing their uh and just making sure that all of the things that are mentioned in their job description is done. So why are they being called back into the office, right? So that's the gap. This is one example, right? We can give another example that could be of the wages. So all of us know that the world has been uh every country has been going through tough financial country, right? I mean, you can talk about US, you can talk about USA, you can talk about Pakistan, but the for the financial conditions are not good, right? Now this goes for both the employer and the employee as well. So employee, the wage that employee is expecting is sometimes higher than the budget that hiring manager or the potential employer has, right? But they are fair and correct at their point, and what an employee is expecting is also fair on their part as well. So there is another gap. So I think these these sort of reasons are there in this market, and at the end of the day, what the result that you come across is that we feel that there is a shortage of talent in the market.
Okay, so in your opinion, there is no talent shortage in the market, right?
It's my opinion totally. I There might be shortages
Mhm.
for some specific, like for example, there could be a particular field where there's huge need. Like for example, in 2025 and 2024, it's all about the machine learning. It's all about data. So employers have a lot of openings which are related to either AI or data or machine learning,
Mm.
but there are not as many candidates available for that particular. But overall, I don't believe there is shortage. I believe the real problem lies in expectation from both of the parties, from employer and the employees.
Okay, in your opinion, there is a gap between the employees and the employer, right?
Absolutely.
So if we came up with a solution that we can match both of their expectations, so we can do good, right?
Absolutely. I think it's about the communication.
So have you ever had a position which took 3 months or 6 months to be closed?
So no, I don't recall that we ever had a position that was open for either 3 months or for 6 months. The reason is that we try to educate our clients as well, right? So for example, there might be possible if the position is, I mean, if you're not able to find the right candidate, we try to do the market research as well, right? And we provide that data to our clients as well. So, for example, it might be possible that the budget that the client has given to us is not according to the market, right? Or it might be possible that the skill set that client has shared with us, the candidates have experience with that, but not the amount of years that the client is looking for, right? So what we do is that we try to work with our clients and we try to give them different options. Like, so for example, if client is looking for a candidate who has 5 years of experience with particular skills, so what we try to do is obviously our first action is that we try to find the right candidate which fits exactly a job description, right? And not the job description, we try to have conversation with the client that what kind of a culture fit the client is looking for, or what kind of a preferred skills client, or it might be possible that the client is looking for a candidate which is from a specific industry, right? So that's the first action that we take, right? But for example, we are unable to find a candidate because such candidate does not exist in the market, right? Then we try to give different options to our client. Some a can we try to, because see, one thing that we do is that we have really detailed conversation with our candidates, right? So we take that information and we give it to our client as well. Obviously we vet that information first, and then we give that information, the ground reality, to our client as well. So I guess that's one of the reasons that none of the position is actually open for 3 to 6 months. We try our basically our goal is to provide candidate with three qualified, right fit candidates to our clients within 48 hours, right? But if we are unable to do it, we go back to our clients, we discuss the challenges that we are facing with the position, and obviously challenges should be logical, should be the one which actually exist, and then we try to work with the client and see if we can find a middle way. Because at the end of the day, if the position is open for 3 to 6 months, that's a huge loss for our clients. And we don't want a client to wait for 3 months or 6 months just to fill in a person, right? So we work closely with our clients and we try to find a middle ground so that their position is being filled as soon as possible with the right fit.
Okay, so Asad, how Soul Technologies differentiate from other companies, like other recruitment and staffing companies in the market?
Absolutely, Zephyr. So this is a beautiful question, and there are a lot of things that sets us apart. And I'm not just saying because I myself is an employee of Soul Technologies. I have worked in different staffing and recruitment companies over my career of 7 years. And I think what sets us apart is our three-step verification process, in which firstly we figure out what the qualified candidate is for a particular job, right? So what we see is that candidates should have mandatory requirements, right? And after that, we have a very detailed conversation with our candidates, right? So that conversation is not just about the qualification, it's about what candidates actually wants in their career, what are they looking for, what are their motivation factors, or like for example, we also try to see that if the candidate, like for example, even if candidate is agreeing for the job, and if even if he has the right skills, we want to see that if this position will work out for the candidate or not. For example, if candidate is situated uh 40 miles from the location of the client, and we are, for example, hiring for a position which is based in Washington DC or in any major city, so we know what the traffic challenges are in that city, so we try to discuss that challenge with our candidate as well, because we want to make sure that we are not just placing a candidate just for sake of filling up the position. We want to make sure that the candidate is sticking with the client for a long period of.
Wow. I have been in the market for like last 4 years, but I have not came across with these kind of processes. You are stating that you have three-step process. Can you elaborate a bit?
Absolutely, yes, Josefa. So we implement a system called three-tiered vetting system, in which we basically first gather the right resumes which fit the job description, right? And then we put them into our AI system that we have created. Now that AI system is really powerful, right? So what it does is that you, like for example, if you are a Java developer, right? So you would be sending you assessment test which will have the coding questions, and then you would have to take those test. And while you are taking test, we have created a system that would catch if you are cheating, that would, for example, if you're opening any other tabs, or for example, if you're taking an external help, or for example, if you are taking any external help, that system will catch that, right? And with that, it will also match the dates of your employment with your documentation as well. Like for example, if you entered a particular country in a particular year, so you want to check like, is that correct or not? And the last step is that our candidates have a very detailed interview with the candidates, right? And in that interview, we are not only seeing that if the candidate is a technical fit or not, we also want to make sure that the candidate that we are sending ahead is also a cultural fit. So this is one of the things that sets us apart. Other than that, I think that our employees are the ones, because at the end of the day, every company is what their employees are, right? So I think that we have a great team of recruiters which are bent on, the goal is not to submit a candidate to a particular position. Their goal is to close the position as soon as possible with the right fit, so that client is not coming back to us within couple of weeks that the resource that we sent either left or was not the right fit. So we want to make sure that we are closing the position for once and for God.
Okay. To be honest, Asad, that's a very interesting thing because you are using the AI assessment tool in in this market, in the recruitment market. So it's quite fascinating for me. And I have another question, like how common is resume fraud? Like, is it the most common fraud you have ever faced in the recruitment agency?
Yeah. So thank you for appreciating us. And absolutely, so see, we are in 2025 right now, and we have to make sure that we are following the trends, right? In this case, we were not following the trend. In this case, we were actually setting the trend, right? So in initial times, we did come across a lot of rebuttals and pushback from our candidates, because obviously they do not want to sit through assessment which takes 30 to 40 minutes, right? But at the end of the day, I think it makes life easier for them as well, because when we are submitting a candidate to a client already knows that if this candidate possesses the right technical skills or not. And coming to your next question, obviously, this is one of the big challenges that we face. I'll be really honest with you. It's something which has been increasing over the past couple of years. It's something which has been increasing for last couple of years as well, and this was one of the reasons that we implemented this AI tool before the time, because at the end of the day, I think our reputation is something which is very dear and very close to us, and we want to make sure that the candidates that we are, because obviously we are spending a lot of time finding the candidates, then calling them, and then submitting it to the client. So time is of essence, right? As I told you earlier, that you want to fill out the position as quickly as we can, right? You want to be both effective and efficient as well. So you want to make sure that we are not wasting time on the candidates which do not have the skills that they have mentioned, right? So it is a challenge, but we are catering this challenge by the AI tool that we have been in house, and I think we have been very successful because it caters a lot of nitty gritties, right? Like, for example, it would pick your IP address, it would detect if someone is uh, telling you the right answers from behind, or if you're changing your tabs and trying to find a right question through ChatGPT or any such platforms. So I think it is a challenge. It's a big challenge, but we have been very successful in catering that.
In regards of your answer, I would like to ask another question: that what is the worst lie in the resume you have came across?
I don't think there's any worst lie, or I don't remember on top of my mind if there is, or because see, Zephyr, I'll be honest with you, we have a lot of open positions, and for every position, we have a lot of candidates, right? So I don't remember any candidate on top of my mind which I would say is the worst resume, but obviously, we have had candidates which are totally fake in a sense. I'll give you an example that we have had candidates in their resume, it's written that they have working experience since 2012 till now. And when we do the background check, we come across their degrees, and their degree, or their, not even the degree, they were born in 1998, or they were born in 2000, the year 2000 itself, and they started working in 2012, right? So it does not make sense. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's very common. I don't blame candidates for that. I mean, it's unethical for sure, but at the end of the day, everyone is trying to get the jobs. Our job is to uh, pick those red flags and get them out of the system. And obviously, there's another thing that we do is that we, from our end, we blacklist those candidates, so none of the recruiters are actually reaching out to them again and wasting their time.
So another big challenge of our industry is high turnover. So what do you think? Why people quit so fast?
That's a good question, actually. I think the problem lies in hiring, right? I mean, sometimes the candidates do not fully understand what the job is about, or sometimes the hiring manager or the client is just in hurry to fill the position up, right? And if, like, for example, if the employee and the employee both are on the same page, you will never come across any position where people are joining and then leaving in 1 month, right? So I think to cater that issue, you need to have a very detailed conversation with the client firstly, that what exactly are they looking for, and then you should have a similar sort of conversation with the candidate as well, that what are they exactly looking for.
As you mentioned, 1 month quitting. Have you ever hired a person who have quitted in within the 1 month of joining?
So obviously, yes, I mean, we have had people who have joined us and left within a month, but usually that's not the case, and the reason is that we have we try to make sure when we are interviewing both the employer and the employer on the same page. We try to cater the questions that any potential person that is joining a company has, and we try to either make sure that we have catered to that question or to a challenge that the person might face, or we just go ahead and not hire that person, right? Because we want to make sure that see, what happens is that if a person comes in and then leaves within a month, it's a loss of time, right? At the end of the day, yes, we do lose out on money as well, but at the end of the time, it's about uh at the end of the day, it's about the time, right? Because, for example, if we interview, or if we, like, for example, if we are sourcing for a week, then we are interviewing, then we are onboarding someone, and then obviously if they're leaving in a month, that's like give and take 2 months. And then obviously you would have to go back in the market, start sourcing again, then interview other people, and then obviously onboard. And that then obviously when we onboard someone, we do know that it will take some time for that resource to reach the potential, right? Because obviously they're joining a new office, the environment is different, the tools are different, right? So we want to make sure that we are doing it the right way from the start. And that's why we try to have a very detailed conversation with the people that we are interviewing.
Okay, so you mean that a one bad hire can like cost you 2 months or more than that,
Yeah.
and a lot of money as well.
Yeah, it's about money and it's about time as well. And I particularly think, and I personally think that time is way more important. I think we can make a lot of money in that time as well. So it's opportunity cost that we are also losing out on.
Okay, so Asad, we have been talking a lot of about the candidate side. I just wanted to go towards the other side, which is recruiters side. There are a lot of challenges recruiters face nowadays in the market. So how you as a company face like cater those challenges?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking this question because I think recruiters rarely get the attention that they deserve. And I think the advantage that I have is that I started my career as a recruiter myself, right? So I can understand their pain points as well. Now, what we do or what I do particularly is that I try to work very closely with my recruiters. Like, so for example, if they're facing a challenge on a particular position, then I would like, rather than just demanding for a submission or just demanding the work, I personally try to work with them. I try to find the right candidates that look they're like, for example, if a recruiter is bringing up a challenge, right? So I would not push away those challenges. I would try to sit with them, see what the challenges are, and most of the times the challenges are right, honestly. So what we do is that we try to hear what recruiters are saying as well, right? I think that's the biggest thing that as a manager or as a or as a organization that you can do is that you hear the challenges, right? And once you hear them, then you can sit with them, and sometimes you would have to go out of the box as well, right? But at the end of the day, it's just not a challenge for a recruiter. It's just not you and I. Like for example, recruiter is you and I am I. It's we. We have to collaborate and try to find the right fit for the position. Sometimes the recruiter may be right because at the end of the day, recruiter is the one which is on the ground, right? Recruiter is the one which is going through the multiple platforms, sourcing the candidates and then calling them up and having discussion with them. So it's about hearing them, what challenges they are facing, and then sitting with them, finding a strategy or a solution that could work with for both for us and for our client as well.
Okay, that's a good thing because I have rarely seen higher management working closely with the recruiters to get the demands of the clients done. So it's a good thing, I think, and you have.
Thank you so much for acknowledging that. And I believe it's also because of the culture that we have in Soul Technology. It's all about transparency. Zephyr culture always trickles down from the top, right? So, like for example, I also have someone to report to, right? So when I feel that my challenges and my issues or my concerns are being heard, then I learned from that, and I obviously see if my challenges and my concerns are being heard about, I feel good about it, right? Or I feel that my concerns or my issues are off my chest. So I want to give similar opportunity to people who are working for or uh, or are under my report, right? Like for example, I want to make sure that they are also feeling the safe environment that is being created in Soul Technologies.
There is one more common challenge nowadays people are facing is mental health issues and work-life balance. How do you people cater these things, these kind of things within your company?
Absolutely. And you are absolutely right. I think it's good that the awareness is being spread, right? But the issue that I see is that, like, for example, if I go on LinkedIn, I would see a lot of posts which are related to uh, mental breakdowns or burnouts and stuff like that. But I think actions always speak louder than words, right? So I think rather than just saying things for sake of things, like there are a lot of companies which have sessions on mental breakdown, but at the end of the day, it's all about the actions, right? And we believe that we take the right actions. We try to address the concerns and we try to listen what exactly are, like, for example, see, at the end of the day, all of us are humans, right? A manager is also human, and the person who is working for the manager is also a human at the end of the day. So if we just keep everything apart, and if we just have a human to human conversation with the people that we work with, I think we can sort a lot of issues in the problem, and see if we are catering to the issues right away, then it translates into not having breakdowns every other month, right? Like, for example, if you have a certain problem and I'm not hearing it, then that would add up, right? Like, for example, this month you have particular problem, then other month you would have another problem, right? And I'm not taking care of that. So it would all add up, and that would create a negative environment for the company, because the employees are not satisfied. So it's all about hearing and all about having the right communication with the people that you work about. It's not just employee or the manager or leadership. It's just having a basic human to human connection with the people that you spend time with. Therefore, honestly, we spend 8 hours sleeping, we spend 8 hours at home, and we spend 8 hours working. That's the typical breakup that we have of our life, right? So you want to make sure that the 8 hours that the person is spending in office is not it's not stressful. Like, we want to have a safe environment where people come in, they enjoy what they're doing, they have good time, and at the end of the day, they are also making sure that they are doing the job that they are hired for. It's as simple as that, and it's about setting the expectation right.
So Asad, it's very good that Soul Technologies is working on a better environment alongside with it, having different mental health sessions. Because I, as an employee, think because we are spending 8 hours a day in the office, so these actions really does matter for us. Because if we are having a bad day and we come to office and our mood cheers up, so that's the best thing we can have in the office. If you are a hiring manager, what three things you look in a recruitment firm?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So, if I was a hiring manager and if I had to select from different recruitment companies, I would pick a company which takes ownership,
Hmm.
has the accountability, and also has the right rates as well.
In regards with this answer, I would like to ask higher pay or better benefits. What suits you the most?
I think there should be a balance, right? I mean, at the end of the day, benefits are necessary, yes,
Mhm.
but people want money to spend, right? So I think
Mm.
there should be a right amount of balance between the benefits and the pay.
All right, Asad, it's great to have you here. How was your experience?
Thank you so much for having me, Zephyr. This was definitely refreshing for me as well. This is different than what I do in my day-to-day tasks. So it was nice. I'm looking forward to have similar conversations with you going ahead as well. This also gives me insight of what employees are also thinking, right? So thank you so much for having me. This was definitely fun, and looking forward to have more sessions with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.